stomach.
Good evening, South Africa. A very warm welcome to the Pick and Pay Winemakers Table virtual experience. Many years post-COVID, and we're still doing it, and it's lovely to see so many faces out there. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tjaart Walraven. I'm your chef this evening. Oh, there's some of you very, very happy. Lovely to see Lady in Black there going absolutely crazy. It is good. It's Thursday, and hopefully the weekend very shortly. Anyway, as I mentioned, I'm Tjaart. I'll be your chef and taking you through 3 delectable canapes that we've got you lined up with, which I'll go through very shortly. I'm the food component, and it's very important that I have someone on the wine component. Tonight, I'm joined by Richard Duckitt, the winemaker, head winemaker, and specifically also the red winemaker for Bellingham Wines. Richard, a very good warm welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, great being here. And thank you, audience, for attending, actually.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to this.
Oh, absolutely, indeed. Well, I'm going to get a glass going. Richard, we're going to be kicking off with a Chenin Blanc, I believe, if you can do that. And I encourage you at home to please get that Chenin Blanc. Some of you already got some down the hatch. Fantastic, good to see. But let's crack open that glass of wine. You know, it's definitely past 12 o'clock and I need a glass of wine. I'm sure you all do. So please charge your glasses with that there. And then make sure everything's all sort of ready at the get-go. I'm sure you've gone through your list of things that you've got to get out, which you should have there. Please make sure your kettle is boiled or you've got your pot of hot water ready at some point. We'll be doing that a little bit later on, but we won't be waiting for a whole kettle to boil. So have that ready and steady. And then also ready and steady should be your cameras. Please take pictures and share your experience with us this evening. We also have some fantastic prizes. We've got 300 smart shopper points up for grabs. Please will you hashtag P&P Wine Club, hashtag Bellingham Wines this evening, at Pick and Pay, of course, and at Tjaart Walraven. You can share your experiences and the team behind will watch what goes on. But please take lots of pictures as you go, and the 3 best pictures, as I mentioned, are going to win 300 smart shopper points each as well. Anyway, enough talking about that. Ching ching to you out there. Cheers, Richard.
Cheers,
Look forward
Josh.
to tonight.
Yeah,
and cheers. Oh, yes.
Okay, I was going to say, you can't cook food without having a decent glass of wine.
Absolutely.
So,
I think, you know, we're all in the same position. It's exactly how it starts, with a great glass of wine. Anyway, we'll come to putting the canapes together just now, but hopefully you've got all your components ready. But Richard, let's have a chat. Bellingham Wines, who are you, where are you from, what do you do, and just share us experience about the brand as a whole.
Okay, perfect. So Bellingham, the farm, is actually in Franschhoek. So the farm dates back to 1693. It's one of the oldest farms in the country. But as a winery and a brand, basically Bellingham really started in the early 1940s.
1940s?
Yeah, 1940s.
Wow.
When a guy, his name was Bernard Podleshuk, and his wife Frida, they bought the property in the early 40s. So he was actually a fighter pilot for the Royal Air Force, and he was shot down and he had some chest injuries, and then the doctor, they told him to move to a drier climate, and that was how he ended up in the Cape, basically.
Oh, wow. They call the Cape a dry climate, is it?
Okay, well, he started in Gauteng, and then he didn't... Okay, well, you know about living in Gauteng, so yeah, he wanted the ocean, I guess, and then he moved on to the Cape since then.
Okay, well, okay, so family that goes back many, many generations.
Exactly. Okay, 1940, eh?
Yeah,
so not so long ago. So Bernard didn't know anything about winemaking at the time. So they went on a study trip to Europe, back to Europe at the time, and traveled around France, a little bit in Germany, learning how to make wine. So he knew absolutely nothing about winemaking at the time. And then he came back, and basically with the help of prisoners of war, Italian prisoners of war that were stationed at the Cape at the time, they replanted all the vines and fixed up the buildings and built the winery and that sort of thing. So yeah, that was really when Bellingham got going. Yeah, from that time, and coming with new ideas from Europe. Bernard was a very, should I say, he was a maverick, a visionary within his time, and he had a lot of firsts within the wine industry at the time. So he basically bottled the first Shiraz in South Africa. So yeah, the first Shiraz was actually a Bellingham wine.
Yeah.
So even today, the Shiraz Association actually has a Bernard Podleshuk trophy, which is a tribute to him as well. And yeah, then he had the first rosé, and he actually had the first dry white. So yeah, sounds a bit strange, but apparently all the white wines back then were quite sweet. So
Yes.
the first dry white was also bottled there.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of firsts. So yeah, he's seen as a father of Shiraz, especially in
Wow,
South Africa.
okay.
But apart from that, he was a visionary, and yeah, he did a lot of firsts within the South African wine industry.
Fantastic. Well, wonderful to hear all these firsts and Shiraz. We're going to get to Pinotage in particular because there's lots of celebration around that now as well. Bellingham itself, is it somewhere where we can go and taste wine? What experiences
Yes, our
you
wine
can get?
tasting is in Franschhoek. The farm, yeah, the farm basically, okay, the farm is also in Franschhoek. Yeah, but we only do that, okay, we only use it for VIP tastings, but the wine tasting is actually in Franschhoek in the main road.
In the main road. Okay, so you go to main road. So for those of you who are ever visiting Franschhoek, into the main road,
The
just as
main
you come on the
road.
right-hand
Yeah,
side of
basically
Franschhoek.
Franschhoek Cellar Building, yeah, we stationed there. within the
Okay,
building, yeah.
so for those of you who are visiting the Cape, or for those that live in the Cape, down to the Franschhoek cellar, and you can taste the wine directly there.
Exactly. Please join us for a wine tasting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously the Bellingham, the homestead, that's available for VIPs. You've got a beautiful
Yes, we have a
venue
little
there
guest
as well.
houses there, and beautiful lawns and gardens. We do braais and spit braais and things there. every now and
Fantastic.
again.
Yeah, it is. And it's like a really old building there. that
Exactly.
is-
The building's very old. I mean, as I say, it was revamped by the Italians
Okay.
back there. But yeah, we've turned it into sort of a guest house on the one side. The other side, we have sort of a function venue, and yeah. But anyway, beautiful gardens, beautiful
Yeah.
properties, and yeah, should I say, so much history behind it
There's
as well.
lots of
So
history.
that's actually the beautiful side behind it. Like Frida, apparently she was should I say, super eccentric actually. She had this bath with lots of crystals and things, and she was very well known for a bath actually. For that.
Bath and crystals, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what a combination. Well, anyway, on that note, that's a little bit about Bellingham Wines as a whole. Go and visit them in Franschhoek, taste their wines. If you do get to experience to see the Bellingham Homestead or the Bellingham Manor, it is quite impressive. I've been very privileged to do an event there, and beautiful gardens. So a great round, all property, and as you say, all these wonderful firsts, I think is fantastic. So, for those of you not new to Bellingham, I hope it's a wonderful welcome. For those of you who do know Bellingham Wines, I trust you've always enjoyed it over the years, and you continue to support them, which is always important.
Sounds good.
Indeed. Right, fantastic. So, hopefully you guys have taken some pictures of your wine, because it's going to be soon time to take some pictures of your food. If I'm going too fast or anything, please just shout and, well, not shout because I'm not going to hear you, but you can type away. If you've got any questions to put across to me, please type them in the comments box, whether it's here, there, or wherever on your screen, and pop me some questions, and the team will send it to me on my screen so I can see you and I can see what you're all doing as well in your kitchens. For those of you who haven't got cameras on, please put them on. I'd love to see you, love to see faces, what you're all up to. Some of you all sit at the dining room table, very organized. Some in the kitchen standing together as a big group. Fantastic. Right. So our first little canapé that we're going to be getting to grips with is a wonderful bit of cold smoked yellowtail, which I guess in essence is a lovely little wrap, or what we call it as a toasted tostada. We've got all our ingredients together. So what you should have is your butter. You should have your lovely little wraps that we've cut out for you. Your yellowtail, which I'm going to talk about the smoking of that there. Pineapple chutney, a radish, and then your lime mayo. So those are the items that we need on. And then very importantly and trusty, frying pan is what you need as well. So I'd like you to put your frying pan on and bring that up to temperature. So let's just drive this on here. Oh, there we go. All right. There we go. Right. Okay, onto sort of a medium to high heat is where you want that there as well. General rule of thumb when I get cooking with butter. Cold pan, cold butter, pop it in. When it foams, then you cook. If you're cooking with oil, remember please to heat up your pan, then add your oil in, be it olive oil, sunflower oil, because you get a much higher temperature. Oil doesn't get to temperature when you put cold oil into a cold pan. So always heat up your oil first. And we don't want you standing there, you know. Yeah, Rich is clearly quite guilty of that.
I am.
There, so hot pan for your oil, cold pan for your butter. So what I'd like you to do is take your butter and put that into your pan and allow that to melt. and we're going to be frying our tostada in there. So let that to melt. Whilst it melts, I'm going to talk to you about our lovely yellowfin, yellowtail, not yellowfin, yellowtail that we've got here. Pick and Pay has all these lovely ingredients, and one of them is fresh yellowtail. What you can do to smoke it at home, you can do either hot smoke or cold smoke. Cold smoke is usually done at a very low temperature for a long period of time for it to really infuse. It doesn't really get up to a point of where it's sort of cooked, but it is cured. You take the lovely fresh yellowtail from your Pick and Pay store, equal parts of salt and sugar. That'll be your sort of coarse salt and sugar. You can put a bit of lemon zest, a little bit of orange zest if you want in there, and then you want to basically pour that over the top of your fish and let it sit there for 8 hours overnight if you really want to, if it's a thick piece, but generally about maximum 8 hours. You're going to take it, rinse it off completely, and you're going to feel the flesh is quite firm. Then you can smoke it. Now, smoking, the easiest and the simplest, I'd say, is if you get a nice deep pan, pop it onto heat, and then sprinkle it with, let's go local, rooibos tea. When I come to talk about the nuts a little bit later on, it's a similar process that we've done here. Take your rooibos tea in the pan, get that to a point of where it smokes. Put a griddle or a baking tray, or what we term as a cooling rack, above that, and then put the fish on that cooling rack. So it's suspended above the actual rooibos or whatever you want to sort of smoke it with, be it some spices, be it bay leaves, a bit of grass, a bit of hay, whatever you like, and then cover that. And making sure that the cover doesn't touch the actual flesh of the skin, very important. So make sure you sort of create this lovely capsule and let it smoke. Hot smoking, it's a much hotter temperature, but not to a point of where it's boiling, but it is quite an intense smoke. It's quite a hot smoke, and hence you get the name hot smoke. But cold smoke is very low, very gentle, long kind of cooking process. Much smoking done in your term? And
I smoke quite a bit. I've got a fish smoker at home.
Yeah.
But I do think a quick, practical, easy way of smoking it at home is basically within a Weber braai. That's probably the easiest way. I sometimes put a little bit of water with the chips in the bottom of the Weber with the lid on it. That generally works. But when you do hot smoke, though, one thing with the fish, it must not be too dry, because you can dry it out within... You're basically 1 minute too long and the fish can be dry. So that really is something that one has to,
absolutely.
watch.
I think great tip there is make sure you don't overdo this at all. Please just watch your pans going as well. Mine takes a little bit longer. You never know with induction. It's like either super hot or very cold, but we'll get up to that there. So what I like to do so long is open up your wraps that you've got in here, or we're going to pull out to start up. So you can open that packet here, and you should have two, little eyes there. Pop that into your pan. Your butter should be nice and foaming, and pop that in just to sort of fry that off there. So it looks good. And remember, if it's got a happy pan, is snap, crackle, and pop at the end of the day. So if you've got that sort of that sound going off there, then you know you're in control. And it looks like everyone's sort of there, all very eagerly waiting for things to fry off. So gently fry that there, and you can just have a look. It'll take on a little bit of color. That's all that we need. And what I want you to next have is some kitchen towel where you can drain your tostada on, please. So a little bit of kitchen towel at the ready. And as soon as these are got a little bit of color on, we're going to do. Really important with frying is if you want color, leave it alone. If you're frying onions or whatever it might be, if you want to get that wonderful deep dark brown color, leave it alone. You keep moving it, all you're doing is creating steam. That steam's going back into it and keeping it moist. You want to actually remove that steam so it dries out. And that's when you're going to get the color. And all you need to do there, look at that. Oh, yes, please. Out the pan. There we go, just like that. And then make sure you switch off your pan as well. All right, there we go. So your tostada should be lovely and crispy. And just set that to one side for that to cool down very slightly there. Then I want you to do is take your cold smoked yellowtail and open the packet and pop that onto your chopping board, just like that there. Okay, that's in there. And then take a nice sharp knife. Now, when you cut, let the knife do the work. Don't push in there. Let it glide straight through. So just glide that through. And what you want to do is get a couple of thin slithers. Remember, when plating, it all needs to be about odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7, 9 works well from a visual perspective. So you want at least 3 slithers per person. And there's always a little bit extra for the chef as well. So I've got my 6 beautiful slices like that there. Go and have a bit of a try. What do you think of that, Richard?
Looks good, thank
Man
you.
that smoked. You know, it's always quite intimidating on here. You know, oh, I smoke, I have a fish smoker at home. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Isn't that quite good?
Flavors.
But subtle, very soft, and that's with cold smoking. You get this wonderful softness. So
I have to try with a fish.
sneak a little piece there. Right, you got your fish hopefully all sliced. We all got our fish sliced. All happy?
Very good.
We're going at the right speed. Excellent. Remember, any questions, just give us a shout. Right, next thing along the line is I'd like you to pick up your radish. We're going to get all our mise en place ready first. And taking your same knife, you can give it a wipe if you want to. I'm just going to wipe mine on the side there. And what you want to do with your radish is slice off the top and then have a couple of lovely thin slices, as thin as you can go. Remember, let the knife do the work. Just like a little saw in action. Saw as you go, and get a couple of slithers of that. Now what I'm going to do with mine is I'm going to cut mine in half as well, so you end up with these little half moons. And then whatever you don't need, just remove off the plate so your board is nice and clean, looking very chefy and Bombier-like. That there. Fantastic. Right, I'm just going to move that out the way. And to our tostada, the pineapple chutney that we made for you. Oh yes, beautiful. Again, slow onions being cooked down there, a bit of pineapple, a little bit of thyme as well. Lovely and fresh. Again, all your ingredients from your local Pick n Pay store. So let's pop that into the middle. And what I'm going to do is sort of make a line of it, I guess. What you want is when you bite into your canapé or any dish, you want all the components. You want the tostada, you want the pineapple chutney, you want a bit of the fish, you want a bit of the radish, you want that whole combination. So I'm going to do it with you as well. And let's take the other amount and pop that on there. Oh, that looks fantastic. Right, that's together. And then I'd like you to top of that, you're going to put your fish. Now this is where you get with fish, you know, a bit sort of chefy and fancy and fold it over, bend it, twist it, however you like. We are South African, so let's definitely put 3 on there. Make it look like that. Beautiful. And same on this way. Oh, that fish looks fantastic. And that's what the beauty is, all this lovely fresh produce from Pick n Pay, and you can turn it into something that will last actually, you know, a good week, 2 weeks in the fridge in a vacuum packed bag as well. So on top of our fish, we're going to put our radishes when you are ready. So take your radishes and a couple of little slithers, you know, make it look funky, you know, it needs to be sort of, you know, look beautiful. So put them this way, that way, tuck them underneath if you like. Oh yes, look at that. That does look fabulous there. Again, 3 or 5 little slithers on there from a, you know, from a visual perspective. And make sure you're going to get a bite of everything as you go. And then lastly is we've got some lime mayo that we've got for you. So just cut off, snip off the end of that. And again, you can be quite chefy if you like. We can, you know, just do little splodges there, another one on top there, down the side there. Oh, 5 little ones like that. I've actually got enough in here to do the other one as well. So just squeeze it on. Now this really is going to bring it together. The mayo is going to be a lovely, voluptuous sort of connotation to it all. Squeeze that here, there, everywhere. Oh, that's looking so good.
I'm quite happy with that.
How good does that look?
Amazing.
Hey? I mean, you can get really chef. You're going to get these into quarters if you want, and a little bit smaller here and there. I don't know. Have fun, guys, and this is what it's all about. Have lots of fun at home and just get creative as you go in the simplest of fashions, but it makes it look so elegant. And then go on for your little camera moment, transfer that to your lovely little Pick n Pay board, and look how fabulous that looks. Right, once you finish that off, I'm going to get my friend Richard here to talk about the Chenin Blanc, of what we should be expecting whilst you finish those off. Richard, okay. Chenin Blanc. Tell us about it.
So we're tasting the Homestead Chenin, okay, this bottle over here. So, okay, the Homestead range, basically, which we're going to taste today, is you're named after the old homestead on the farm, basically where the Podlershoeks lived. So, yeah, Bellingham is very well known for Chenin and Pinotage. Those are our probably signature varietals that we produce. But yeah, we love Chenin and we love Pinotage. Yeah, should I say, really, you know, that sort of South African flair to it as well. So this particular Chenin comes from 2 vineyards. We have a section that comes from Paarl, and then we have around 40%, okay, is actually a very old vineyard in Stellenbosch. So the old vineyard is what gives you, the concentration, the mouthfeel, the richness, which is also why I think it's going to work so well with that smoked yellowtail. And then the younger vineyard again, which we ferment in stainless steel tank, is sort of the fresher, the more vibrant, the lively sort of side behind the Chenin. So yeah, Chenin Blanc typically you'll find has quite a lot of fruit sweetness. So take note, not sugar sweetness, it's a fruit sweetness, like that sort of a sweet perception on the palate. So, and you'll definitely find more stone fruit for me. I find quite a lot of peach, apricot flavor characteristics, but you'll also find some pineapple. And then also the old vines, I find definitely give you a little bit of a citrus note, so a little bit of a yellow citrus. So yeah, you look for that as well when basically when you taste the wine. So yeah, that really looks fantastic. I hope both of those are mine.
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, that's some lovely little notes, about the wine there, yellow fruit he's talking about there. So go on, look slightly sophisticated South Africa for me. Have a bit of a swirly, have a bit of a sip of your wine, and then it's time to delve into that wonderful canapé. And what I want you to do is just pick that up, bend it in half, and have a bite of that and with your wine. So what you want to do is you want to have a sip of your wine, and then have a bite of your canapé. Once you finish that, have another sip of wine. And once that's finished, bite, sip, bite, sip, bite, sip, and off you go. So enjoy that wonderful combination. Richard, get stuck into it if
I'd
you
love to
so
try.
wish there.
Thank you.
And the wonderful subtle smokiness that's going to come through from the fresh, which I think really complements the wine. I think that really does stand out absolutely beautifully. One thing I find always interesting, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit more after your mouthful, is pineapple, quite acidic in some respects. I've got a lime mayo, and I remember doing these shows 10 years ago. Would never dream of putting lime, citrus, tomato, pineapple, anything with high acidity at all with wines. But we found over the years actually how much it really works and complements one another. What is the effect of that, Richard?
Okay, well, the two things that wine really loves is salt and acidity. Definitely, those are the two things that really work with any wine, basically. Yeah. So what the acidity does, it actually brings out almost a sweetness within the wine. And what acidity also does, it sort of makes the wine feel longer, just rounder, and definitely brings out the fruit more in the wine, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
For sure. The salt side of it as well, because I do think the fish definitely has a little bit of a salty tint to it, which I think really also complements the fish very well.
Yeah.
So what salt also does, it just sort of softens basically the mouth of the wine, and just becomes almost more of a textural feel to it as well.
Okay.
And definitely the two together bring out almost a fresh fruit characteristic that also comes through, yeah.
Well, I hope we're all talking sense out there and that you are all agreeing. Are we all agreeing in some form or another? Happy faces there, indeed. A few of you ching. Absolutely. So saltiness is actually your friend when it comes to wine and food at the end of the day. So when you're out there back cooking, don't be shy to add salt or some acidity. And also saltiness, not because you want to taste salt, but what the salt brings. It's the chemical reaction, I guess, is what is about.
Exactly.
Not necessarily actually tasting the salt there.
And saltiness, should I say, sweetness with a little bit of acidity also works very well, which is why I think this also works so well, because the balance of the food and the balance of the wine really match each other very well, I feel. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think a lovely one and a Chenin Blanc that is great. It's such an easy wine. I mean, this is a wine, 10, 20 years ago, probably wasn't sort of very popular. It's become very popular. Not as popular as Sauvignon Blanc yet, or you think it's sort of starting to tip those kind of scales?
It's getting there, eh?
Yeah.
Definitely getting there.
Okay.
Look, and it still is our most widely planted grape varietal. Yeah, so as a South African, basically when we travel overseas and then we say we're winemakers, and when everyone automatically associates Chenin and Pinotage with South Africa because we have the most, Chenin vineyards in the world, basically.
Okay.
So it really is something that's unique to South Africa, from that perspective.
Fantastic. And then obviously as a full stable, I mean, Chenin Blanc obviously stands on its own for you. You must obviously have a number of other white wines within the Bellingham brand as a whole that you make as well.
Okay, we have the old vine Chenin, which is just sort of a step a little bit above this one.
Okay.
So that's a barrel fermented wine, whereas this is this is the unwooded style again, which is good because Chenin can produce those different styles. It's a very diverse grape varietal. But I personally love Chenin because I think the wine always has a beautiful drinkability behind it. Yeah, Sauvignon, look, I do enjoy Sauvignon as well, but I do find the acidity tends, after a few glasses or bottle maybe, the acidity tends to get a little bit much, whereas Chenin is just beautifully balanced. I love the fruit on it, I love the acid balance, and it works so well with food. Should I say with a very diverse range of foods as well you compare Chenin with. So yeah, that definitely, and it also works well with spicy food for that matter.
Sure.
So spicy food sometimes is, how should I say, also quite a difficult pairing.
Sure.
But Chenin and spicy foods definitely work. Maybe not quite a Durban curry your level of spice, but it definitely works with a little bit of spice. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, there's more tips for you, not just delicate, cold smoked yellowtail from your local Pick and Pay. We're starting to talk in curries and things like that. But curries are almost a thing of the past with our winter hopefully behind us across South Africa, which would be great. But yeah, I think things like this is great. As you say, pop that onto a Weber and smoke that, as you say, is absolutely magic. Anyway, I trust you've enjoyed that first lovely little pairing and that you're all happy with the Chenin Blanc and that beautiful yellowtail. I think it's a great combination on that there. So that's our first one done, guys. Well done to you all. You've all managed it. Hopefully no cut fingers or anything like that at all as well. But I think we're going to move on to our next one in the lineup, which we're going to Pinotage as a whole. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. So Pinotage, who loves it? Who really loves it out there? Hands up there, or who really loves Pinotage? Yeah. Who's not a big Pinotage fan out of interest? Anyone that's sort of Pinotage? No, we're all proudly South African. Oh, love to see it. Fantastic. Well, Pinotage, I think Richard is celebrating a massive milestone. Is it next year, really, isn't it? Or was it this year in terms of its...
you're talking about the 100 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually...
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here.
When Beyers actually made a speech the other day, it was very interesting. Yeah, Beyers Treater.
Yeah,
he made a speech.
And
and he said that your birthday is basically the day when you were born and not the day when you were conceived, you see. So apparently Pinotage was conceived in 1924, which makes it next year the 100 years.
Okay, all
so
right,
you're basically just to clarify that.
Okay, all right. So anyway, it was conceived. That's going to be a very interesting one in your wine talking about Pinotage and the conception of it. But anyway, it's still saying proudly South African. I think this varietal has come a really long way. I mean, I think 20 years ago everyone was all sort of, it's rough, it's just like sandpaper, but I mean, it's become such a refined varietal.
I think, there were a few bad examples out there way back then. And it was just, people didn't understand the varietal. Vineyards were planted in the wrong area. There were virus. And Pinotage today, you can't compare it with what was produced then. We're planting vineyards on the correct sites, the right way. We're farming them in the correct way. We're also making them in the correct way.
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about Pinotage, love Pinotage. And I think, something, because it's so uniquely South African, it's something that we can take to the global stage and really can, should I say...
showcase South Africa as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. Just lift the name of South Africa completely with basically from the wine, wine side.
Yeah.
So I love Pinotage, but the Pinotages now are way better than what they were in the past.
They certainly have improved.
So hopefully you guys enjoy the next one.
Talking of which, let's get that Pinotage open, please. So if you haven't opened already, I'm sure maybe a few of you have got it already. Last sips of red wine going down white wine, going down the hatch, I see. But let's get this Pinotage open and pour yourself a glass of red. Oh, yes, something to sort of warm you up and get you going. Right, in terms of the food component, your kettle should have boiled, or your pot of water on the side should be ready and waiting for you just now. We literally only need that for a couple of seconds. In terms of ingredients that you should have at the ready for this wonderful canapé, which is your comfy pulled lamb pitta with a chimichurri and dukkha and chimola mayo. Oh, what a mouthful, but lovely heated elements coming through with that there. So your butter, your pita bread, your confit of lamb, which is in a bag like this. It's not saying that's sort of done anything wrong with it. It's absolutely perfectly fine. You've got your chimoa in here, and then you've got your dukkha spice, and then your chimichurri in here. So those are your components that you should have at the ready, as well as a glass of wine. Cheers. Ching ching. On to the red wine, everybody. Get a tip of that and have a bit of a a swirl, a little bit of a taste.
Okay.
Oh.
And pinotage and lamb,
Oh,
you
I
can't
mean,
go wrong with
you
that
couldn't
one.
go
I mean,
proud
it's
South African wine,
yeah.
Peru lamb. I mean, what a combination at that there. So those are your components. Right, so what we're going to be doing first is we're going to be toasting our pita breads. So your pita breads, you can open the packet and have that at the ready. And then your frying pan. Now you can go back to the same frying pan. You can have a clean one if you so wish. But let's pop your frying pan back on. Well, if I can get mine back on here, we'll get there. There we go. It'll be very delicate with this, yeah. Right, and onto that function and get it nice and hot. So if you want to use the same frying pan, that's fine. I'm going to add a little bit more butter in. It's already got a fair bit of butter, but let's just sort of pop a little bit more butter in. Remember, cold pan, cold butter. When it foams, that's when we're going to cook. And just allow that just to sort of heat all the way through. So, frying pan on. Oh, some of you are way ahead, which is fantastic. Love to see that. So, whilst that's going to be sizzling along, we're going to take our pita breads and we're going to put them down and we're just going to push them a little bit flatter in the pan there. So, we're just going to fry them, but push them down a little bit. These are lovely and fresh breaded like pitas, which is absolutely fine. And there we go. Foaming butter, everybody. That's exactly what we want. And then from there, I'm going to put my tops down. Like a steak, whatever you put down first, that's your presentation side. So, presentation down just like that. And with your hands, you can just sort of push it down just like that. Get that. If you want to use a spatula, you're very welcome to do a spatula as well. And just push that down so it stays a little bit thinner and not so much height. Just like that there. And watching that, it's going to start to take on some lovely bit of colour, as you can see. You'll see that there. Got a happy pan. Just gently fry those off. And then let's get some kitchen towel ready on the side so you can basically pop them onto there very shortly there. Oh, I'm going to have another sip of pinotage. This is thirsty work, you know. Oh, lovely. All right. Keep an eye on your bread. There we go. I'm going to turn mine over. And again, let's just have sort of push it down ever so slightly. So just toast both sides all the way through. There's nothing better than sort of fresh bread and
I can
butter just
smell it from
warmed
here.
through. Eh?
Delicious, yeah.
That's all that you need to do. So once it's fried like that, I'd like you to take those off and pop them onto your kitchen towel that you have. And then, very importantly, please switch off your stove. Right, done. Oh, easy work, isn't it? Wouldn't it be so lovely, like every day you get home, you go to the fridge and this tray of ingredients all beautifully prepared for you just comes out and you know, you can sit with your other half and just sort of cook to your heart's content. I mean, life couldn't be simpler. Well, Pick and Pay does help to a large extent, but yeah, it is lovely with this here. So our next step, which I'd like you to all follow very carefully because I don't want it to be too long, is taking your lamb, and that's going to be ready for your pot. I'm going to get my pot at the back here, which I've got with some hot water already. And what we're going to do is pop that in for literally a couple of seconds. Confit. What is a confit? Confit is slow cooked and submerged in fat. It just sort of renders down ever so beautifully. Confit of duck is very popular, for those that you know it, of where you cure it first. So again, that's sort of salt, rosemary, black pepper. You put it on to cure, wash it off, and then you submerge it. And at sort of about 80 degrees, you allow it to sort of bubble away. I always say it's like a little lamb in the spa or a little duck in the spa bath. And you let that cook for hours and hours and it just falls apart and becomes lovely and tender. We've shredded this eventually, but very, very finely. We've really pulled this apart. A couple of seconds is all we need. And then I want you to please fish it out. So take that out very carefully with some tongs. I'm just going to put it onto my rack there. And I'm going to make sure this gets lost and disappears. And that lamb should have now softened ever so beautifully for you. All right? You don't want to go too far because it's going to become sort of oozy and what have you. Anyway, along the top, and just cut the top of that open. Actually, I should have done the long side here. Not following what I'm doing. I'm going to shake all mine down to the bottom like that. I'm showing you what not to do, by the way. So down the long side. And take that. And then what I want you to do is get a teaspoon. And then we're going to take that lamb that is so beautiful and soft. Give it a little bit of a mix in the bag. Get all that lovely fat from the confit sort of immersed back together. And again, let's just pop that in that sort of linear fashion again.
I told you earlier on that the two things that really work with wine is salt and acidity, but the third one that I left out was actually some fat. Now that really works with a red wine.
Really? Okay.
It just matches
gels together.
Yeah.
Huh? All right, so remember that. Get something really fatty almost. You know, so I guess we're talking pork belly, that kind of style of things. Huh? All right, there we go with that. So your lamb should be on top of your pitta, everybody. Then next component is your chimichurri that we've got here. So this, the green stuff, by the way. For those who can't say chimichurri or know what chimichurri is, basically lots of lovely fresh herbs, garlic. Sometimes you can put a little chili with it if you want it in there. But this we've just got the herbaceous sort of green sauce, I guess. And then get a teaspoon and, you know, get a bit chefy and do a bit of a drizzle this way and a bit of a drizzle that way. All right. And then again onto the other side, like that. Oh, I'm definitely going to open the other one because I'm not going to lose all this beautiful flavor that I have. Good. Yeah, it does smell good, doesn't it? That's one thing with the green sauce. It really is vibrant. And this will complement and cut through the fat component. So this is a great one for doing that there. All right. And then what we need to do is take our Duckitt spice. So Duckitt spice is a wonderful Middle Eastern spice that's got, it's full of coriander and nuts and fabulous spices, like sort of warm spices, I say. That's really comforting. When you smell that packet of Duckitt spice, I mean, it really is absolutely gorgeous. Bit of sesame as well.
You smell the pinotage in that, right?
I mean, you got the pinotage, biltong almost sort of comes to mind with that. And then what you do is take that and just give that a little bit of a sprinkle over the top. And now this is going to add a bit of texture to it, so a bit of nuttiness. A little bit here, a little bit there. And again, you'll notice what I'm doing is I'm actually serving this off my presentation plate. I'm doing all the dirty, messy work on the side here, so that's all out the way. And then my presentation plate's going to be lovely and clean when I put it together. And then what I can do is take your wonderful chimola mayo. So taking that spice and just mixing with mayonnaise, both ingredients you can get from your local Pick and Pay. So just snip the bottom of that off, and then off you go. With a piping bag, actually, I mean, this is micro, but I mean, just so you know, you always roll up the end, and what you do is you don't squeeze with your hand. You know, usually if it's a big piping bag, we squeeze. You always want the pressure to come from the top and push that down. So always from the top, have that pressure, and then squeeze it out. A little dollop there, a dollop there, lovely dollop on top.
I'm going to get you to go and teach my wife how to squeeze the toothpaste.
Same thing.
She does exact opposite of what you're saying.
Oh, you're very brave. You're lucky she hasn't tuned in tonight. Right, always from that end there. And for those of you who want a little bit more of the chimola mayo, get stuck into it. Again, I think 5 little dollops on that there. So every mouthful you're going to have the chimola mayo, you're going to have the chimichurri, you're going to have the dukkha, you're going to have the lamb, you're going to have the pitta. Oh, all of those combinations all together. And how's that? I mean, this is really South African sized portions. But let's transfer that to your presentation plate in front of you.
Beautiful.
That's it there. And now for the main and serious part of this pairing is the wine. Please, Richard, tell us about the pinotage.
Okay, the pinotage actually all comes from Stellenbosch, which is a very good pinotage area for that matter. So we get a lot of sea breezes, which comes from the False Bay side, the southeasterly, southwesterly direction. So we get those cold sort of sea breezes during the summertime. And most of the vineyards will be bush vine vineyards. And we make it in a very typical pinotage style. We do a fair amount of punch downs, but also pump overs, which is a way of extracting color and flavor within the wine. But pinotage loves oak. So I just wanted to say that, barrels, it loves oak barrels. So you'll find quite a lot of those sort of like hint of vanilla, maybe a bit of coriander spice, basically on the wine as well, which comes from barrels. It's also a wine with, for me, because of those ocean winds, I find definitely more red fruit in the wines, okay? So some pinotages you'll find black fruit, but I do think ours is more on the red fruit spectrum. You'll find mulberries and red cherry, some raspberries, those sort of fruit characteristics within the oak spice in the background. Okay, So one thing, and Pinotage does have a little bit more tannin, than a lot of the other red varietals. But for me, it's a very sort of a silky, silky coating sort of tannin in the mouth. Okay, and so with red meat, actually, there's a reaction between the proteins in the meat, basically, and the tannins in the red wine. You find a reaction. The two actually cancel each other out. It's actually an interesting fact. In the past, people, your wineries used milk, milk and blood and egg white, basically, as a fining to remove tannins. And that just shows, basically, when you add that into the wine, it bonds with the tannin and it actually settles out. And the same thing happens in your mouth, basically, which is why, you can have a real tannic red wine. It just works with that steak. Yeah. Works very, very well with that, yeah. And I must say, with wine and food pairing sometimes can be quite difficult. But I do find you find sort of these complementary flavors, where you have your fruits and your fruits, but often the contrasting flavors work better, I do find. And I do think, that for me, will be the interesting part with this, because, the milk has quite a lot of spice with herbs and things like that. Yeah. The wine, again, more fruit, and so I do think the two will complement each other very well with that.
Fantastic. Yeah. So talking of tannins and going back to that, and thanks for your questions coming in. Richard, everyone's asked, a couple of you asked across the board. We got Pinotage before, the Shiraz. They thought it would be the other way around. It's sort of bigger, and I suppose it's that our psychological sort of knowing is that Pinotage is always brasher and bigger and bolder, or it got more tannins. Why the pairing this way around?
Yeah, why this way around? Yeah. Look, I do think both of them could have worked. So maybe you guys must keep a little bit in your glass, and you can try them either, the other way around as well. Because I do think both of them will work. But with Shiraz, it's sometimes tricky, though. I do find pairing Shiraz with a little bit of a spicy food, something with a lot of spice. The spice in the food, the spice in the wine sort of compound, and it just becomes too much on the palate for me. So that's why I think the Pinotage will work better with this specific pairing as well. And I do think the next one that you're going to, the next pairing that we're going to have, you're going to find the Shiraz has definitely a lot more black fruit. And I think, with a black fruit, you often get a little bit of that dark, chocolatey, sort of a lingering feel to the wine, which I do think will work very well with a dessert as well.
Well, we come to that just now. I think it's time to eat and drink our pairing that we've got here. So take that lamb and get your Pinotage if you haven't already. Some of you I see you've got full mouths, which is fine. Go on, bite into that. Preferably not the whole thing, but, just bite into that.
Would you mind if I,
Absolutely,
I grab that one over there?
And grab that morsel. And enjoy that combination. So you have this richness of the lamb coming through, the wonderful earthy, herbaceous note of that chimichurri, chamois mayo. It's going to sort of bring a little bit of a heated element, and then the nutty, spicy Duckitt all in one, and then that Pinotage, which is subtle in its own way. I find. I mean, it's got some reserved tannin, some reserved structure.
I have to say, this pairing is fantastic. Really is fantastic.
It sounds like Richard has got many words. How's that pairing for all of you out there? I'm having a good look at the screens. Are we all happy? Do we really enjoy that? I see what a great pairing. The lamb is stunning. I totally agree. Thank you. I'll take the credit. No, I won't. There's a phenomenal team behind us here at Pick and Pay that does all these things here. Another interesting question that's come through here is, what do ocean winds impart as opposed to other winds? Is it because they carry moisture or lower temperature? Richard, that's one for you. That's, quite interesting.
Sure. Okay, very good question. I'm not sure if we have enough time basically for the full answer, but I'll try to keep it short, with in between a few bites, of course. So ocean winds, so within our climate, okay, we have our hot, dry summers, okay, which is perfect for growing of grapes. But our summer heat can sometimes reach close to 40 degrees, I guess. But with these ocean winds, you get a little bit of a cooling effect. So the vines love heat, but for good quality, you need the heat, but you also need the cooling effect. And the important part with the ocean winds, you get the cooling at night as well. So it doesn't stay hot. It drops quite a lot. In the afternoons, when the southeasterly picks up, the temperature in the vineyards drop as well. So with that, you find preserves a lot of the fruit. You find the acidity also gets preserved as well. Within the warmer areas, you find the acidity will be a little bit lower. The fruit flavors will be a lot more black fruit at least. So yeah, but I do think the wines in the cooler areas you get a slightly longer hanging time as well. You know, a little bit of a slower ripening process, so that the tannin structure is also just that touch riper. You know, because it was you spent a little bit longer times on the basically hanging on the vine. So we harvest. These particular vineyards, if you compare it to some of the warmer wine growing areas in the country, we harvest probably 2 weeks later. So Stellenbosch is by no means our cool climate areas. It's a cooler climate, but Pinotage likes a little bit of heat as well. You know, so Stellenbosch climate is absolutely perfect for Pinotage because it has a little bit of heat, and then with the cooling effect of the winds, especially in the late afternoons and evenings. Yeah.
All right.
I hope that answered it.
Yeah, I hope that helps. I think it's quite a complex kind of thing that goes with it. Anyway, that's our wonderful lamb pitta with all ingredients from your local Pick and Pay, and that gorgeous Pinotage from Bellingham. But we must move on, and it's time to sweeten you up with a gorgeous, a lovely dark chocolate truffle with a rooibos infused peanuts with some gold dust as well, just to bring it up, and a beautiful black peppercorn shard. So first, these things, all your ingredients should be out. Whilst we're doing this, I'm going to get Richard, once he's finished his lamb. He's loving this. Yeah, in a moment.
I'm going to eat the other one as well.
Get your other half to open up the wine, please, as well. So get that Shiraz on the go. And then someone can open up the packet of nuts with the rooibos infusion that we've done. So it's all been smoked. So let's just pop that into there. And I'm just going to pop that in front of me. So you don't want a very deep bowl, shallow, a little side plate will work just as well. And then what you can do is open both packets of your chocolate truffles, please. So your lovely chocolate truffles. Now, chocolate truffles, very simple. Chocolate, cream, equal parts. Boil up the cream, pour it over the chocolate, mix it all together, pop it in the fridge. Once it's set, roll into balls. It's as easy as that, chocolate truffles. All right, so open up both of those there. I'm going to open up the lids of my berry coulis as well. So have that at the ready. And then the other bits, what we've got is you should have your skewers and your black pepper tweels as well. So let's just sort of open all of this. There we go. So you should have your tweels. Okay, remove obviously the silicon sachet out the way. And then you should also have your gold dust. I'm going to just open this on the side here as well. Have that at the ready. Hopefully, we can open up. There we go. Right, so all my components are ready. I'm going to bring it all together ever so simply and ever so
there we
easily.
Go.
Yeah. Oh, we got our Shiraz. One last one. Ching ching for
cheers.
Shiraz lovers out there. Oh, cheers, Richard.
Cheers.
There we go. Oh, now we're talking about berries, but we'll come to that just now. Take your chocolate truffle, and I want you to tip it into your hand. That's hopefully lovely and clean. And I want you to sort of roll it in your hand for a couple of seconds just to warm the outside. So what I want to do is warm the outside of it, and then roll it in those nuts. Roll it in the nuts. Okay? Push it in if you have to a little bit. Might take on a bit of an organic shape, but that's all fine. You'll find, you know, for those who get like hot hands, I suffer badly with having hot hands. It's not a cold heart, by the way. But anyway, just roll that into there. Look at that. Oh, yes. Okay, and same with the second one as well. Sorry, I don't always do what I say. But anyway, roll that truffle in your hands, warm it up beautifully, and then roll that back in the nuts. And there we go. Look at that all come together. But do it quickly. Don't be fooled. This chocolate will melt in a heartbeat if you're not careful. Roll it around as you go, just like that. Right. Bring all that together. Oh, that's looking fantastic. Wow. Look at that. Right, nuts out the way. Clear that out. I'm just going to get a cloth and just wipe hands. So wipe your hands down. Oh, look at someone's got their hands up, all full of chocolate. Love it. Oh, you're working. Kitchen towel across the dining room table. Pour it out. There we go. Right, into the bin that goes. Right, next thing is what I want you to do is, oh, I love those hands. Very elegant. Anyway, take your coulis and we're going to go straight onto your presentation board, please. And do one little dollop in the middle. Well, not quite in the middle. Offset of the one middle. In the middle of the left-hand side, in the middle of the right-hand side, if you know what I mean. Because we're going to be doing two. And let's do that on the other side there as well. So that should use up all your lovely coulis. Don't be shy of the coulis, because I mean, I think these wonderful sort of berry notes are really going to come together ever so beautifully with that there. Take your chocolate truffles and pop the truffles onto that coulis as well. Just like that. So you're going to scoop that up just now as well. So another little wipe there. Right, taking your skewers. And I want you to pop your skewers in because you're going to hopefully pick it up, by all means. And of course, again, these truffles you can do in advance. I love having a little tray of truffles always in the freezer. This freezes so well. And we got, unexpected guests or, a last minute dinner party, whip out the truffles, allow them to come to room temperature, chocolate truffles done. And all you're going to do, a bit of coulis or a bit of raspberry jam, whatever, jam you can get from your local store. And then you've got a shard, which you can just put them to the side, if you like. Or if you want to be a little bit chefy and all the rest of it, cut it in half, get some shards in there. I don't know. Get creative, guys. Entirely up to you with that there. And then last but not least is a little bit of snow. A little bit of what we've done is taken some glitter and sugar, mix that together, sprinkle that on the top, and there we go. How fabulous does that look? There, your beautiful dark chocolate truffles with a wonderful rooibos peanut crumble in there to go with the Shiraz.
With the Shiraz,
Richard,
yeah.
what are we going to sort of smell
So
and
the
pick up
Shiraz,
here?
okay, our Shiraz comes from the Paarl region, okay? It's actually from two vineyards within the Paarl region. We have a northern one, which is a Paardenberg area, and then the southern side, which is a Simonsberg Paarl area. So it's a blend of those two, sort of the extremities of the Paarl appellation. So Paarl is a slightly warmer region, so you're going to find a lot more black fruit. So look for those almost like black currant, blackberry, black cherry, which is quite a bit different to the Pinotage. And then being Shiraz, of course, you'll find quite a bit of spice as well in the wine. So you'll find just that sort of your touch of a herbal type of a spice, some black pepper as well also in the wine. But please try the Pinotage with the chocolate as well. Maybe you guys have a different opinion.
The wine might be finished that side,
I do think both of them. At least sounds a little bit like when you said you freeze your truffles. I must say the truffles won't last longer than 10 minutes in my house. So there will never be truffles left over to freeze. So
yeah. Okay,
anyway.
So interesting. Now we're talking about spicy notes. Now we'll typically think, well, we did a spicier dish earlier that this would go well. But again, I think one of those things with wine pairing, it goes to all of you out there, do what works for you. For those of you who are brave enough, who likes ice in their wine? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, thumbs up. You know what?
Okay, depends if it's warm wine.
Well, warm wine, yes.
Sometimes.
But again, we always say in the industry, if that's what makes you happy, that's how you enjoy it, and that's how you love it, love it. And this is what this kind of event is all about. For those of you who've been sort of asking, questions, about the Shiraz, Pinotage, I think it would equally work either way.
Sure.
I think it's where Shiraz and Pinotage are really quite versatile. I love the one comment that we've converted someone. He says, my white wine loving friend is converted to the Bellingham Pinotage. Well, what a great introduction. I think, as we said,
Great.
Pinotage come a long way. So you got a new buyer for Pinotage, which is absolutely fantastic. Right, before you devour in that, come on guys, last few pictures, get snapping away. Don't forget to hashtag PNP Wine Club, hashtag Bellingham Wines. You can tag at Pick and Pay. Or myself, Tjaart Walraven. You can share your wonderful creations. Don't forget there are 3 prizes to win of 300 Smart Shopper points each as well. So that's all there ready to go for you. So please take a last little picture and post it online so we can see what's going on and then get stuck into this wonderful pairing. Come on, Richard. Don't be shy.
No, I look forward
Chocolate
to this.
and the berries.
Thank
Now,
you
guys,
very much.
Get in that whole moment of the chocolate truffle. Get into that berries. God, you're going to lap it all up. I think it's important. Get this little twirl as well and sort of scoop all those combinations up. The black pepper twirl, literally just sort of flour, sugar, bit of black pepper in there. And you bake it off with some butter, of course, as well, just because that's giving us the paste. And you've got a beautiful, beautiful twirl. And just bring in texture. So always think of things need to be textural. Things need to have sort of maybe a bit of spice or a bit of crunch. So again, talking texture, that fruity notes, bit of earthy notes. If you think of chocolate, chocolate is actually savory as a whole. We obviously sweeten by adding sugar. You can obviously get a much darker chocolate, but it's going to be much earthier, which I think goes well with the Shiraz. But I think actually, personally as a chef, you get a really dark 90% cacao base. I think the Pinotage will really stand up well. It's saying really quite dry because there's a bit more dryness coming through with that the Pinotage.
Exactly. Look, with the chocolate and wine pairing can be quite tricky actually, but the whole secret behind it is you need a chocolate with a little bit of a bitterness. and not too sweet. It needs just that touch of sweetness, but not too sweet.
I suppose wine is.
Whereas this is just sort of a perfect match. I do think.
Yeah.
The other thing with food pairings, I do think it's a very subjective way. What works for you sometimes
Absolutely.
won't. Yeah. Maybe something else works for me. So yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing. There's no rules, So be adventurous and try. Try new things.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more with you, guys. Be out there, be adventurous, do what works for you. As I said earlier, you need to chuck some some ice in your wine. So be it. If you don't want to get yellowtail, there's lots of other fabulous fish at your local Pick and Pay that you can smoke away. Lamb, you could do a beef, you could do a confit of beef, you could do a confit of duck. There's lots of things, lots of different variations. Do what works well for you, do what works well for your pocket at the end of the day. But Pick and Pay has all your fabulous ingredients for you. So I think a great combination. Richard, before we announce our winners, sort of wrapping up this sort of experience about Bellingham Wines, some last little nuances about the brand. What else to look out for?
One thing, we've actually got an in-store promotion at the moment. So if you buy a bottle of Bellingham in any Pick and Pay nationwide, but you're using your Smart Shopper card, you automatically entered into a competition, and then you can win a year's worth of supply of Bellingham wine, which should be quite good. You're not quite sure how much a year's worth is. Okay, well, a year's worth for the two of us will probably be quite different. But a year's worth of Bellingham wine.
Absolutely. And I believe you got 25% off at your Pick and Pay stores as well in your Bellingham wine. So 25% off and a year supply of Bellingham wines. I think what a great combination. And then talking about other things to wrap up, please don't forget you got your wonderful vouchers in your goodie box as well. So on checkout, you got 100 Rand off if you use that with your checkout. On your Pick and Pay online site. You've also got free delivery of 6 bottles as well, so that's all there courtesy of Pick and Pay. To the Pick and Pay team who've put these wonderful ingredients together, to Pick and Pay Delivery or ASAP, they've delivered all your wonderful parcels to you, which you've all seemed to have got, which is fantastic. So thanks to the wonderful team behind the scenes. I just get to eat, drink, and be merry. Actually, there's a lovely comment I saw earlier on there. What is it? Eating, drinking, being merry, whatever. Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more there. But yeah, so let's have a look here. Who we got our winners out there to all of you. Leslie Wells, congratulations! You're one of our winners with 300 Smart Shopper points, as well as Claire Beckham. You've got there as well. And Michelle Kamak, which I'm hopefully saying the name correctly there. Oh, we got a big laugh. Oh, I love that gentleman's face there. Very happy. Obviously, the other half won there as well. So please, will you send your details there, or Smart Shopper numbers to P50011092 at pmp.co.za. I'm sure we'll put that onto the list now for you guys to read. Any last minute questions? I trust we all enjoy that. Really enjoyed the wine pairing. Well, we did too. Thank you very much. All happy with the winemaker this evening. Oh, happy with you, all right, Richard? Absolutely. He's absolutely been a fantastic star. So thank you very much for that there. But guys, have fun. It's about just getting creative. Simple ingredients put together. I think sometimes simplicity is bliss. I mean, and same with wine.
Exactly.
It's simple to your point, or it's as simple as you want to make it.
Exactly, but I do think what's important though with these, the different flavors, it doesn't have to be super complicated. I love, what you did with the radish and the little bit of mayo, a little bit of chutney, just basic things, but those flavors just sort of add, I think. And wine, sort of, there's a synergy between food and wine. The two just work very well together. So having a glass of wine is great, having a plate of food is great, but the two together is just magical for me. So,
absolutely.
So thank you for your time.
No,
I really enjoyed
everybody, thank you for joining us. To Richard, thank you very much. It's been fabulous. I mean, 3 great canapes with that beautiful cold smoked yellowtail, with that confit of lamb, and then of course decadent dark chocolate truffle with a wonderful berry coulis to finish off. It's been fantastic to have Bellingham Wines. It's been fantastic having all of you. Thank you very much for being part of it. Until the next time, everybody, thank you very much. From Richard, myself, good night, guys.
Cheers.
And enjoy. Thanks, things. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.